I'm very keen on teaching people who already know about origin insertion technique how important it is, because it's often forgotten. And one muscle that I love doing origin insertion technique on is the diaphragm. There's some people coming to this program who know how to test the diaphragm. And for some of you, the diaphragm is the first time you've encountered it is going to be in this program. Now, I want to show you again how to test it. Please hold. I gently push on the muscle. I make sure it can indicate by spindling. Good. So this muscle will talk to me as a stress detector muscle. And I also want to check this side. Please hold your arm there. Now, may I touch your rib cage and not tickle you horribly? Some people are very ticklish, so you have to warn them that you're going to touch by the rib cage. Be a little bit to the client's left of the xiphoid, right there. If I just gently touch, basically correction point locate, and push on the arm, it looks good. So I'm sorry you don't need this, but I'm going to torture you anyways. Now, there's a lot of people who have an unbalanced diaphragm muscle. It goes into spasm. And in the webinar, I told you how important it is to work with the diaphragm, because people can have heart palpitations, they can have anxiety, they can have difficulty breathing. And in fact, the diaphragm can bully any of the other muscles of the body. If you have a recurring problem and you haven't looked at the diaphragm, you need to work with the diaphragm. Now, people who fall and they go, a lot of times they lock down fibers of their diaphragm and you might not know where it is. So with correction point locating, and for the camera I won't use that arm, you can just gently touch with the intention of saying, show me where there's some fibers that aren't happy. And you work all along the lower edge of the rib cage, and remember to go in and do the back. I often find imbalances in the back. And I'm testing Morgan all the way along as I go, and you notice he allowed his arm to come up, so he didn't have to stick his thumb in my ear. So the thing is I don't have a volunteer right now to show you an active diaphragm release, but I can still model it with him. Let's say somebody has an unlocked diaphragm, and you're thinking to yourself, they have a history of a fall, they have had a history of a shock where they might have gone, there's something chronic going on, or they complain of having a stitch in here somewhere, or they have chronic imbalances otherwhere in their body. Come look at this muscle. And to do origin insertion on the diaphragm, it's the same as any other muscle. I really apologize. This is one of the most uncomfortable things to do. So please don't. Okay. I might have to put my knee there so you don't hit me. No, seriously, folk. If the person's diaphragm is out of balance and it's hypertonic, this is going to be very sensitive. I've done it once on somebody and I just knew in my heart they really needed it. Otherwise, I would have just said, I don't like to cause pain. And you know, in foundations, I tell you, causing pain on a client is not a good idea for so many reasons. One, they might not want to come back. But two, when they experience pain, they go into defense mode. That stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight-flight response, and it doesn't allow for very accurate testing for a little while. So do your best not to cause pain, gently and respectfully, and watch their face. Go in there, see if you can get under the rib cage a little bit, and wiggle your fingers. Now, because your diaphragm's not out right now, it's not too sensitive, right?
It's not bad.
Okay, if you feel tenderness, will you please tell me? And then what do we do after we do the little wiggle jiggle, folks? We bring the little fibers up onto the bone with the idea of I want to set the little fibers of the tendon closer to the bone. Then I move over and I do a wiggle jiggle. Are we getting a good shot here, camera woman? Okay. So I do the little wiggle jiggle to release those little nodules that might be there. The little micro, the word is not coming to my mind, but they're like little nodules of grabbed up stuff. And then I anchor it towards the ribs. How was that?
Tickles.
Okay, I'll be gentle. Now this is getting to my tickle land. Uh-oh, I put that out in the world. If I meet you at a conference, please don't come and tickle me. So Remember, I was supposed to look at his face. He is making a bit of a face, and I'm pulling there. Was that one a bit sensitive?
It was okay.
When a client says it was okay, the answer is, yeah, it was sensitive. Now, this one feels different, doesn't it? I can feel it with my fingers. This one's not offending you. And I'm going to come in on this side. Now he's really trying not to laugh out loud. And I get in there. And seriously, if this muscle is out of balance, the person will be writhing on the table. So I want you to back off a little bit. Don't go so deep. Just need to go a little bit longer. And remember to anchor those fibers in. You gonna live?
Yeah.
Keep breathing. Good job. He was holding his breath. And then I dig that in. You don't want to force your hands under the client, or pretty soon you're going to hurt the tendons of your wrists. If you have a face cradle, please use a face cradle. So notice I'm coming in here, I'm finding the bottom of his ribs, and I'm kind of not really on the diaphragm because it's in there, but this activity I'm hoping is going to loosen, because on this side at all, I can't feel the diaphragm whatsoever. But I'm still doing the little wiggle jiggle technique. I'm sorry if I've offended any therapists out there. I like to use friendly language. So I landmark, I find the lower rib, I do the wiggle jiggle. And these ones all seem nice and soft, and there's no agony there, right? Another muscle that's highly overused, you're going to learn in this class, is the Pollicis muscles here and the digiti minimi muscles here. The Touch for Health people, they know of it. We call it the Opponens Pollicis Longus test, and I like to lengthen to strengthen. And I love doing origin insertion on these muscles. So there and there. So if you know somebody that uses their hands a lot, like a musician or an athlete, like a javelin thrower, footballer, and we're talking Canadian American football here, not the footy football. So you probably couldn't see what I was doing there. There we go wiggle jiggle. And I pull towards the origin and the insertion. And so very, very important to remember to do that for muscles that don't stay switched on, muscles that may have had significant stress, muscles where at some point may have been strained. I don't teach this test in the series, but in Touch for Health world, this is called the Opponens Pollicis Longus test. And let's see your other hand. So you do your best to keep your, like an O there. Look up straight and breathe. I'm going to pull now. Great. And something that I demonstrated recently on Facebook is if you hit things like the head of a shower or different things for some reason, you whack yourself here very bad. Look what happens if I whack it gently. That wasn't rough, was it? Can you hold? He can't hold. So don't do that. Don't ever, ever hit something with this area. There's a very important reflex there. So origin insertion. Upcoming, we're going to learn to test this muscle individually, but if you want to, there's a bonus, you can test them as a group. How's that now? Look up straight, by the way. Please hold. And we've reset it. So another way to use origin insertion technique, especially if somebody uses their hands a lot.